I'd like you to imagine your dream life. See the version of you who has what you want to have, feels how you want to feel, and is who you want to be. I'm Brittany Hoops, your hypnotherapist and manifestation coach, and this is the show where I'll teach you to master the full power of your mind, to guide you on your journey towards destination manifestation.
Take a step back.
Hello there, travelers. Welcome back to another special bonus episode of the Destination Manifestation Podcast. I know. Look at me. 2 episodes in 1 week. So impressed. Well, I can't take too much credit. I missed a week. What was it, like 2 weeks ago while I was trying to get my studio, up and running, which is still a work in progress. But today I want to take this extra time, this bonus episode, to get back to the basics in a really unbasic sort of way. And why I wanted to do this is because it can be so hard for us to talk about and even sometimes understand mindset stuff sometimes. And I think a big component of that is because it's so intangible. Like you know it when you feel it, but you can't often hold it in your hand. And I experience this a lot as a hypnotherapist and as a business owner, right? Part of my job is to share with people what I do, how I can help them, how they can feel better, what they can experience in their life as a result of this work. And so I'll talk about, my products, my services, the upcoming Manifested Me Vault, my one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching private sessions, right? I can talk about these things and how they can help people and what they do. But it's so esoteric sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, why couldn't I have, wanted to have a burning desire to sell refrigerators or something, like be a refrigerator sales girl? Then I could talk about the temperature of the fridge and how many shelves it has and the materials. You know what I mean? But being a hypnotherapist, it's very different, right? It's so much harder to describe to your average Joe or Jane. The short answer when people ask, what is hypnotherapy? What can it help me with? The short answer is that I help you heal your subconscious blocks. But even that, well, what the hell does that mean, right? I kind of picture like a 75-year-old farmer grandpa is sitting at the dinner table being like, what the F is a subconscious block? And I kind of wouldn't blame him, right? It's just here recently where our understanding of how the brain works, of how our mental health works, how we conceptualize ideas about our life. It's just here recently where we've kind of started, to understand how the mind works and as a society become more familiar with the vernacular that we can drop in random conversations. It hasn't been so long where you could just say subconscious block and somebody even remotely could have the chance of understanding what you mean. So today, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. Let's define some of these things, not because you necessarily need the knowledge of it, although it's always useful, but I want you to understand if you got them. And if you got them, what do you do about them? Because that's the only reason why we would care about subconscious blocks is you might be sitting here thinking, I feel like that describes me. I feel like that's what I'm encountering. And how do we know for sure? Well, I'm going to share with you how you go about that process today. And more importantly, what if you do have a subconscious block, what do you do about it? So this one's for Grandpa, okay? What is a subconscious block and how do you know if you have one? Well, here's the easiest way to explain it. At its most basic level, a subconscious block is just a term that we use to describe deeply rooted patterns of thought, okay? Meaning thoughts that you have thought for so long that you don't even realize you're still thinking them. And that's what's kind of interesting. We're with our thoughts all day, right? But there are these other thoughts, these subconscious thoughts that sort of are in the undercurrent. They're like the root system of our thinking. And they're right below the surface, which make them more difficult to detect. So they're thoughts that you've thought for so long that you just sort of accept them as fact. And we call it a block. I mean, some of these aren't blocking anything. Some of them might actually be helping you. They might be facilitating your growth or your expansion or your manifestations. But we only ever call those a block when we realize that that thought pattern has been preventing you from doing several things that you want to do in your life. Feeling how you want to feel, taking the actions that you want to take, and ultimately, if it prevents you from harmonizing with the abundance that you desire for your life. If it's preventing you from doing that, I think it's safe to say that it's blocking you. It's a block. So subconscious blocks are deeply rooted beliefs. They're deeply rooted beliefs, they're fears, they're emotional patterns that are stored in the subconscious mind. That's why they're subconscious blocks. And what's tricky about it, kind of like I hinted at before, is that most of the time you don't even realize that you have one because it's subconscious, meaning outside your conscious awareness. Now, consciousness or conscious awareness, that's what what you're using, the part of your brain you're using to listen or watch this podcast episode right now. It's what you use when you go to work, when you talk with friends. I mean, you are in your conscious mind most of all, every single day. I kind of like to think of it this way. I'm here in my studio. Let's just imagine if someone were to try to hop the fence and be in my backyard right now. Okay. My studio, it's at the front of the house, but they're in the backyard, the back of the house. I wouldn't know if that was happening, right? Kind of creepy, right? I hope no one's back there. It would be outside my awareness. I'm nowhere near my backyard. So this studio is kind of like my conscious mind. It's where I spend most of my time each day, which makes it especially like the conscious mind. And the backyard is like the subconscious mind. Studio, conscious mind, backyard, far away, subconscious mind. I'm not going to know what's in the backyard of my subconscious mind unless I visit it, right? But even if I'm not in that backyard, I might have some clues if someone were there, okay? I might hear some rustling of the leaves from my studio, my office. I might hear a thump that I'm like, that's a little strange. And maybe it's the person hitting the ground after they jumped the fence, right? I might even have some cameras set up and I might get an alert on my phone that says, hey, there's activity in your backyard and go check it out, right? There are clues that might tell me, something's going on in your subconscious mind backyard. Go check it out. And it's kind of the same for you too, okay? You are seeing the effect of your subconscious mind, the symptom of it in your life, but you may be unaware of the cause. Kind of like when you have a stomach ache and your stomach hurts really bad and you don't really know why. So you go to the doctor and the doctor is able to run some tests. Maybe they do, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but maybe they do an MRI or something and they find that you have an internal ulcer. That's what's been causing your pain. So you see, that wasn't immediately known to you. You couldn't see inside your own belly, right? It was deep inside. You just knew that something was wrong because you were in pain and it felt shitty, right? You knew something was off. You felt the symptoms of it. Well, when it comes to subconscious blocks, what if the symptom was that every time you get really close to reaching your dream, you do something irrational or illogical or something that completely derails it. And you're like, why did I do that? That didn't make sense. I wanted this thing. And now I squandered my opportunity. Or let's say you get this really big opportunity and it has a deadline for you to submit for it and you procrastinate and you completely miss the deadline, even though consciously you really wanted it. I know a lot of people do this. It's self-sabotage, right? That's a symptom of a subconscious block. You wanted this, yet your actions did not support what you wanted. That's crazy. Maybe the symptom is that you're doing all this work, you're taking all this action day in, day out, and yet nothing is changing. You're completely spinning your wheels and you have zero idea why. And it's very fast leading to burnout, right? Not many people can keep doing action after action after action after action and not seeing anything. It feels like you're wasting your time and your energy. Maybe the symptom in your life is that you find yourself stuck in the same sort of situations over and over and over again. You're with the same cheating boyfriends. You're with the same awful bosses or working environments. You change your job a million times and yet you still find yourself in a similar situation. You can't outrun it. The same situations where like maybe you almost get the part, but then it always goes to someone else at the very last minute. And this doesn't just happen once. This doesn't just happen twice. No, it's happening to you again and again over years and years. It's like you just can't seem to learn or get past that lesson. Why? Maybe the symptom is that you just feel stuck or that just something feels off. I mean, that's how medical symptoms and physical body symptoms often feel. Spiritual and mental symptoms can feel exactly the same way. It isn't a health symptom per se, but it's a mental health symptom or it's a life health symptom. And it aggravates you because you just can't figure out why. Or this one's a really biggie. Okay. This one comes up a lot. Maybe the symptom is that you feel called to create your destiny, a life of your own design. And you know that you should believe that it's possible for you, but you just don't. You can't. It feels like you're lying to yourself to believe that it could work out or be what you wanted. Even though you know all the positive thinking teachers tell you have to believe it, but you just can't get yourself to do it. It feels like a lie. So subconscious blocks are like symptoms because they are very confusing. You can't see the whole picture with just your conscious mind. Something is holding you back, even if consciously you know you want to make the change, or you know you should want to make the change because you have a goal where you know that change would be supported by it. So the best way to describe it is like there's a lot of push and pull, confusing energy there. And just like a medical symptom, it's kind of like another way to describe it would be like an invisible wall that's sort of between you and your goals. Okay. And so every time you start to move forward, it's like, bang, you bump your head into this wall and you're like, ow, what the fuck? Like, what was that? What happened? Like, I didn't see anything here. I'm so confused. Why can't I move forward? And when you're bumping into those invisible walls, no amount of action is going to help you overcome that feeling. You can't action your way through it. You can't effort or hustle your way through it. Even though that's what we're taught. Oh, you just need to work hard enough. You just haven't done enough. We're taught that, and it's so untrue. Not when it comes to subconscious blocks. Okay? So subconscious blocks, they are felt. And there's a very easy way to describe why this is the case. It's because our emotions reside in our subconscious minds. So when you feel this push-pull, confusing sort of feeling, when you sense that mismatch and you aren't getting the external 3D reality results that you want in your life, that's when you know it's time to seek out a hypnotherapist or hypnotherapy in general. Now, I'm trained as a hypnotherapist and a life coach. Not all are, but I decided to go back to school. I got my coaching certification because I wanted to be able to speak both languages, right? I wanted to speak the language of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind because they're both very different languages. It's like speaking Chinese and French. And it's so funny, oftentimes when I'm working one-on-one with clients, I'll start a session and we always start each session with just conscious mind coaching, right? You live mostly in your conscious mind. It's where you're most familiar. It's where you think you've identified that you have some sort of block or problem. And that helps me get sort of a full sense of what you think is going on. What are the thoughts that you can identify yourself thinking? Because with some awareness, we are already conscious of some of those. And so once we get kind of a lay of the land, what's going on? That's when we decide to go into the subconscious mind using the tool of hypnotherapy. And it's astounding every single time. It shouldn't surprise me anymore, but it always does. When we go into the subconscious mind, it is a completely different ballgame. Like something that we didn't even discuss 30 minutes prior might come up. And then all of a sudden, it's like playing a huge role. And it's like all we're discussing for the next hour. And usually both of us are quite surprised, you more so than me, because here's the core issue that you had no clue was going on. Even when we talked about it consciously, you didn't mention it because you didn't know. But that's because it didn't live in your conscious mind. It lived in your subconscious mind. So you might tell me something like, Brittany, this is what you might say consciously, right? Brittany, I want to be wealthy. I'm doing all the things. I follow all the business advice, but nothing is working. Like, help. Why? And then we'll go into your subconscious mind and you might realize, oh, I subconsciously believe that rich people are selfish. And you know whose voice I hear when I hear that thought? It's actually my mom's voice in my mind when I hear that thought, because she used to say this to me all the time growing up. So I believe that if I have money, I'll lose her love. And I don't want that. So every time I get close to receiving that big payout, I hear her voice in my head and it causes me to irrationally do something that will ensure that I'm unsuccessful. Whoa, right? You hadn't even realized that before, and now you do. But the subconscious mind knew. The subconscious mind brought it to your attention because that's where the pattern was stored. Or you might come to me and might say, Brittany, I am so sick of these fuckboys. Like, I want a real healthy relationship. Why do I keep finding myself with these men? They're all the same. But we might get into your subconscious mind and we might find that there's this super strong part of you that fears rejection, that believes that you're unlovable for some reason. And that's the part of you that's been fawning over the egos of these, heavily cloned men, totally at the expense of your own authenticity or your own standards, really. And they just, they sniff out that desperation within you. And of course, being the fine, upstanding individuals, you can tell I'm sarcastic, they use that to their advantage. And then that pattern just continues, right? But the beautiful thing is, once what was subconscious is made conscious to you, now you know. We made what was subconscious now conscious to you. And now that you have access to the subconscious mind, we can actually do something about it. We can reprogram, we can instill new beliefs, we can heal blocks. Or you might say, Brittany, I really want to be an actress. I really want to do it. I know it's my dream. I know it's my calling, but I freeze up during all my auditions. Like, I literally had a panic attack in the waiting room the other day. Like, why? And then we go into the subconscious mind and we find that you're carrying this deep fear of being seen or being judged. Those bullies in middle school, yeah, they did a number on you. Now, what's kind of cool about one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching is that I don't tell you what your subconscious mind says. Even in audio hypnotherapy sessions, like what will be in the upcoming Manifested Me Vault, I don't tell you what the subconscious mind says. Now, traditional talk therapists might try to tell you what your problem is, but I'm not the expert in you. You are the expert in you. I'm the expert in guiding you using hypnotherapeutic techniques to find those answers within yourself. That's what I'm expert in. But I don't have the answers, and I don't need to have the answers. And that's what's so nice. That's a really good thing, because when the answers come from you, you know you can trust those. They make sense to you. They're tailor-made to you, okay? You understand those. A lot of times I'll have a client that doesn't even really need to explain to me what they're experiencing. And I know even myself, when I'm working with my own hypnotherapist, he'll ask me like, okay, what's going on? Describe to me what you're seeing. And like, I do describe it, but there's like, I describe like the surface of it. Like, I share like 5% of what I'm actually experiencing, because some things are just almost impossible to put into words. Your subconscious mind can speak to you through almost like blocks of thought. And it's like these deep inner knowings that you almost can't even explain to someone else, or it would take too long to explain to someone else. And yet you receive the benefit of that. I don't need to receive the benefit or understanding of that. Like, it's helpful for me to know so I can help guide the session, but like, it's only about if you experience that benefit. So these learnings, they're specific to you. They're specific to your understanding of your life. Now, you might have noticed, I gave you a bunch of examples there of subconscious blocks, right? You might have noticed some similarities when it comes to these subconscious blocks. A lot of them are formed from what we have experienced in the past. Our past oftentimes creates these blocks. Okay. It might have been a traumatic event that you endured. It could have been childhood conditioning. And it's easy to explain this, right? From the moment we are born until we're at least 7 or 8 years old, you are a pure subconscious mind. Your little brain is just this perfect little sponge of everything around you. It's just taking in and learning, and everything you take in gets stored there before you're able to develop your critical thinking abilities, which is your conscious mind activity. So that's one of the reasons why kids can learn languages so easily. That's also another reason why they accept what their parents tell them as fact so often. And so when you have those past experiences, that trauma, the cultural messaging, those inherited beliefs that were given to you, they are so strong that you just sort of accept them as fact. And that's purely because you've never taken the time to question them. You might not have even had the abilities, the critical thinking faculties in order to question them. You just kind of accept them as part of your life. But there are so many thoughts that we treat like facts that are simply not so. But when you don't question them, or even worse, when you're unaware of the power that they've been holding over you, you just sort of operate on autopilot, just assuming that they're true. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. There's so many things, especially things you might have grown up with. That's why I think college is such a formative time, because it's like the first time for a lot of us, not everybody, but it's the first time for a lot of us where we go off into this other area of the country. We're surrounded by different people than we grew up with. And we're all of a sudden, we encounter new and different people and new and different ideas. And we're like, wait, that idea that I never even thought to question doesn't have to be so. And that's why it's such a time period of growth and learning. And we come to learn who we are because we start to question. So it's also another reason why, religious institutions, maybe even school institutions, they don't want you to question things because questioning is powerful. Questioning makes you see through the veil of what you've just accepted as fact. And people, when they hold power over you in these sort of instances, they don't want you to question. They want you to just accept it as fact. How many times has a parent said something and you start to question it and they say, because I said so. Like that's just got to be enough to stand up to fact. So it's in this process of uncovering these beliefs, questioning these beliefs, deciding what we want to believe instead, which is the reprogramming of them. These things that we can only really do when we're in touch with our subconscious mind through hypnotherapy. That's where we can begin to change them. Now, there's this really beautiful sort of metaphor, an element in NLP, which if you've never heard of NLP before, it stands for neuro-linguistic programming. Many techniques that we find in NLP are used in hypnosis and vice versa. But one of the concepts of NLP that I really love is this idea that the terrain is not always the same as the map. And you all know I love me a good destination manifestation analogy here, but it's so true, right? I live here in Austin, Texas. There has been highway construction. I'm sure I've talked about it before because it bothers me so much. There has been highway construction near my house for I am not kidding, at least 5 years. And they're barely halfway through with it. It will be a solid decade before they finish. I will be too old and senile to drive a car by the time they finish this highway. Okay. And every time I drive and I have my Google Maps on, Google Maps freaks out when I drive around this highway because things keep changing. The road isn't actually what the map says it will be. And so Google Maps thinks I'm off-roading near this highway, but I'm not. The road has changed. It changed overnight. The map doesn't match the real under construction changing terrain. And the way we see things, the way we see our life is kind of like our own mental map. And sometimes our map doesn't actually match the real terrain. Meaning, sometimes our map, the way we see things, doesn't match how they actually are in real life. So if you have, let's just use this as an example. Let's say you have this deep-rooted belief that, girls can't do that, women can't do that, because your father was a sexist prick and he presented that thought to you as fact, all growing up, and all of a sudden you've limited yourself from all these things that in actuality, there's no physical reason for you to be limited from. You just believe it. You just accept it as fact. You never questioned it. And, what I'm about to share with you is like one of my real life biggest pet peeves, right? I know it's because I'm a hypnotherapist, right? My job is to help people redesign their maps so that they match the terrain that they want to traverse, right? They match the route that's going to take them to their destination manifestation. But there are certain close people in my life, I'm not going to name names, but they talk about the world as if their statements about it are fact, but it's actually opinion. They'll say something like, "Oh, I can't do that. It's too hard." And they phrase it like, "Duh, Brittany. Like, why can't you see that? It's a fact. It's too hard. I can't do it." Like, it's some brick wall that I'm delusionally not able to see. But actually, the opposite is true. Is the wall here with us? That's what I want to ask them sometime. Like, come on. Where is it? Because I'm not seeing it with my two physical eyes. And yet you've constructed your entire life around this wall. The wall is only constructed on your map. It's not constructed on mine, and it's not constructed in the real terrain either. But you might find yourself avoiding that area because you think there's a wall, because you think that you can't do that thing and that it's a fact, when actually you've put that limitation on yourself. You've created it. There's this meme. I want to try to, it's an illustration, but I'll try to describe it to you. And I see it on Instagram a lot and I really love it. It's this little bird that's in a cage, okay? And it's sticking its beak in between two bars and it just kind of looks really sad, right? It's like in little bird jail. Only you realize when you look at the full picture, those two bars are just on one side of that cage. And they're the only bars that exist. All three other sides of that cage are completely open and bar free. So that bird, it could just take its head back, its beak back, unclasp its wings from those bars, and it could just fly away. Okay, right? It could fly out so easily. It could go to the left, it could go to the right, it could go behind them, and yet it chooses to stick its head between those two bars that do exist right in front and just assume that it's permanently stuck there. The real terrain doesn't always match the map. So those subconscious blocks are just walls that you've put on your map that don't actually exist in the current 3D reality. So my job in hypnotherapy is to help you redesign your map. Align your thinking, your mindset, your concept of yourself and what's possible for you. Align that to what you want to create in your life. So you say, hey, here's my destination manifestation. Let's just say I want to have a baby. I'm using this example because I'm still on cloud 9. I recently shared with you guys that I'm pregnant, right? I want to have a baby, but I've had all these miscarriages in the past and all these traumatic experiences. And they put up all these fake invisible walls, that have made it nearly impossible for me to believe that I can actually grow my family. Help. What do I do about it? And that's what we do in hypnotherapy. And that's certainly the work that I did on myself and was a big, component of me being able to get pregnant and have a successful pregnancy. So we go in and we design a map where you can get to that baby. We take down those walls, we tear down those walls, and we put in a nice, paved, direct route instead, through the form of instilling new thoughts and beliefs. And the beautiful thing about the subconscious blocks is that they're actually very fungible. They're not walls at all. They're like Legos. I guess Legos can form a wall, but you know how easily it is to take apart Legos and deconstruct that wall? Subconscious blocks are the same way. They're elastic, they're flexible, they're plastic, they're movable, they're changeable. And so I sort of like to think of our subconscious mind, and I've used this analogy before, but it's sort of like a record player, okay? It just plays whatever record you put on it. Now, for most of us, if we don't have that awareness of what's going on in our subconscious mind, we've been essentially playing an oldie record for years and years and years. So much so that we don't even hear the music anymore. It just sounds like white background noise. It's so familiar to you. Have you ever been in a room where you've gotten so used to the noise in that room that you can only tell that something was humming or on once it's been turned off? Like maybe it's a fan or the hum of a refrigerator, you know. Now, of course, the one I would sell you if I were a refrigerator sales girl would be so much better, but why am I obsessed with that? Anyways, I digress. I'm not going to sell fridges. I'm a hypnotherapist. Okay. So that kind of hum and then it stops. That's how those subconscious blocks feel to you when you actually release them. They feel so normal and natural until you turn them off in hypnotherapy and realize, oh, it never even had to be that way. Now, what makes the subconscious mind flexible is that it's not beholden to playing any one record. You know, a record player has the capability of playing any and all records on it. It's not like what were those little things? Do you guys remember if you grew up in the 90s? They were like these little maybe I'm getting them confused with these like lollipops that you would like put the lollipop in your mouth and it would like play an NSYNC song for you. Do you know what I'm talking about? But like the lollipop was programmed to just play one song, right? I think that's what, or these like little, like they weren't cassette tapes, but there was these little like pop them and they just played one song. Okay, the subconscious mind is not like that. The subconscious mind is like a record player that can play any record. So just like a record player isn't going to say, hey, why'd you turn that off? I was jamming to that song. Like the record player isn't going to talk back to you. The record player is impartial, okay? It will play whatever record you put on it. Same with your subconscious mind. As long as you can prove to the subconscious mind that you will be safe with this new belief, which you wouldn't pick the new belief if it wasn't something that was going to improve your life, right? If it can be proven that it will be safe with this new belief, meaning that when it plays this new record, it's completely going to be okay, it will get on board with the change. In fact, many times, why we want to make this change is because it's actually more conducive to our well-being. Our conscious mind knows better. It knows, hey, what you've been doing hasn't been helping me. Let's change it up. And I say that's one of the things that I think surprises my one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching clients the most. Like we'll talk to the part of them that resists. Maybe it's the part of them that is anxious, the part of them that has fear, whatever it might be, right? Whatever issue that they've been encountering. And they're always surprised to find that that part actually wants to do something different. Like that part isn't trying to ruin your life. That part isn't trying to make you unsuccessful. It wants to do something different. It's not only their conscious mind that realizes that there's a problem here. So once you talk to the subconscious mind, it says, yeah, I'm aware of it too. I know something isn't working. I just don't know how to change it. Your subconscious mind doesn't like hurting you. Okay? It just doesn't know another way unless you teach it. It's kind of like a small child, right? That was never taught a skill, but it wants to learn. Heck, I even had a client the other day where the part we were talking to, it literally took on the symbolic form of a devil. I mean, it wasn't like she was possessed or anything, no, but the symbol that came to her subconscious mind was the devil because she is, a very religiously attuned person, right? And even the devil didn't want to hurt her. And I'll admit, that even kind of surprised me. I was like, uh-oh, we got the devil here. Like, what's going to happen? Even the devil wanted to change in her subconscious mind. It just couldn't see another way without her help. It didn't know how to change out the record, but guess what? She did. So when we come in and we pick a new record and we teach the subconscious mind a new skill and we do that reprogramming, it's like, thank God, I was getting tired of that one. Thank you for switching the record. It's more than happy to change. And it's funny, I always kind of know when a client of mine is really deep in hypnosis because I can tell it's their subconscious mind speaking. Because here we had just done 30 minutes of conscious mind coaching about the problem where they felt so scared, where they might have felt so resistant to change, where, there's seeming like there's so much resistance there that I'm even kind of quietly questioning in my mind, being like, what's the key here? Why did they show up to this session? because they really are trying to convince me that they cannot make this change. And yet here they are in front of me. Something in them said they want to give this a go. Okay. But in hypnotherapy, we'll get into their subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is like, yippee, let's change the record, please. I want to do it. And it's funny to me because this is such a difference from our previous conscious mind conversation. But the beauty with that is when they wake up, when they come back to their conscious awareness, their conscious thinking has now made that shift too. Oh, that's such a good, that's the aha moment. That's the light bulb. We're connecting the subconscious with the conscious understanding. Because in order to make a shift, your subconscious mind needs to make the shift first. It's 95% of the mind. You got to get the 95% of the mind on board. Once you do that, the 5% of your conscious mind is like the little caboose on that train. It will move right along. So once the subconscious mind makes the shift, then the conscious mind follows. And that's when you get people saying things like, oh my God, I feel like a completely new woman. What's changed in me? I'm showing up differently, right? Because they're able to show up consciously, which is the state of mind that we tend to identify with the most since we spend the most time there. They're able to show up consciously different than before, now that their subconscious mind is on board with that change. So the truth about subconscious blocks are that they're easily changed. They're like Legos, those walls. We can take them apart. We can build something new. So what's so beautiful about that is that they can be easily cleared too. It's just really a matter of changing out that record. It's just a matter of showing yourself at that deep level a better way and then practicing those new thoughts. Beliefs are purely thoughts that you keep thinking. You listen to a song one time, and unless you're like my husband who has like an amazing memory, you probably can't remember the lyrics if you just listen to a song one time. But if you were to play that song on repeat over and over and over again, if it's your Spotify #1 song of the year, you're going to be able to sing right along with that song after a while. In fact, there are some songs from the 90s, from my childhood, where I can sing every single lyric without even having to think about it. It's just memorized. I haven't heard the song in a decade, and yet I will know that song until I am on my deathbed, right? And I won't even have to practice it at all. It's just stored in my subconscious mind. And you know why? It's probably because I listened to it a ton when I was 7 or 8 years old, when I was a pure subconscious mind. So our thoughts work the exact same way. Our thoughts are just lyrics of the song of our life. And so you have to practice those thoughts a few times in order for them to become memorized by you, in order for it to be the song that you have on repeat, the song you can sing, even though you haven't even had to think about it. And that's one of the reasons why I so highly suggest listening to your hypnotherapy recordings again and again. That's why we clear the blocks multiple times and why we sort of attack them from different angles and we look at it from different ways. It's one of the reasons why my programs include 6 sessions rather than just 1 session. You can certainly make some improvements in 1 session, but you can't just clean a house once and expect it to stay clean for 20 years, right? You have to go and periodically clean it up. It's mind maintenance. You can't just work out once and expect 6-pack abs. You gotta train it. Now, let's talk about this through the lens of manifestation. You can now see why I'm not the hugest proponent of just writing in your journal or lighting a candle and doing an intention ceremony. I mean, those things, they're nice, they're sweet, but they aren't going to move the needle. You need to go deep. If you aren't accessing your subconscious mind, you're just putting a Band-Aid on an ulcer. It's not going to do much for you. Hypnotherapy for manifestation is the exact same process as we would use for hypnotherapy for anything else. It's just the subject that we're addressing is what are those thoughts or belief systems that are making it hard for you to trust in your inevitable success? I want you to answer that question. Of course, you're only going to be able to answer it consciously unless you do that subconscious work. How can we get your subconscious mind to believe that life is going to be the way that you intend? What blocks are preventing you from having that belief, repeating the song and the lyrics of that thought? And that's always going to be unique to every single person. And the you who's sitting there or walking or driving or working at your desk or working out or whatever you might be doing right now as you listen or watch this, that you might have some conscious mind ideas of what's holding you back. But remember, that is purely just your conscious mind talking. That's 5% of the overall picture. You won't truly know that answer unless you access your subconscious mind. And I can tell you right now, I can speak from experience. It is one of the weirdest things ever. Like, I'm a hypnotherapist. So I will write myself using my conscious mind. I will write myself a hypnotherapy session. I'll record my voice doing it just like a podcast, but it's just for me. I'll listen to it and I'll go into hypnosis. And it's there where I'll discover new things in my subconscious mind that I didn't even realize were related to the issue. And I'm like, it surprises me. I freaking love it because I'm like, how can I use my conscious mind to create something that helped me see things in a way that I couldn't see before? It's so trippy. It's such a trippy experience. Like, that shouldn't work on me if I wrote it. It might work on other people, but it shouldn't work on me. But that's not true. It does work on me. But it only works because my subconscious mind isn't readily available unless I go into hypnosis. And so I'm creating the tool that allows me to go into hypnosis and see new things that I hadn't realized or seen or connected before. And the same applies to you too. You might think you know the answer, but until you get into hypnosis, I am telling you here right now, you won't know for sure. Neither will I. It's just how our brains work. So yes, our subconscious mind ultimately holds the key. And once you have access to it, once you start doing this work consistently, once you start sort of flexing that plasticity, the Legos of your subconscious mind, and you start playing around with them and rebuilding what you want to build, it's kind of like the lights come on in a room you didn't even know you were sitting in. It's like, whoa, wow. You look around you, you're like, I can see the real, true terrain here now. This map is useless. I need a new map. It doesn't reflect what I'm now seeing. So if you're sitting here thinking, okay, Brittany, I hear you. I understand. I now know what a subconscious block is. I sense that I have a block. I feel it. I'm feeling the symptoms in my life. I just don't know what to do next about it. I've got you. Okay, this is literally what I do. And right now, I've actually opened up a very special opportunity to work with me one-on-one. And this is kind of insane. I have never done anything like this before. And to tell you the truth, I probably won't ever do anything like it again. At least it's not in my immediate plans whatsoever. But I'm running what I'm calling the bump up and breakthrough sale. It's cute. I'm doing the bumping here with baby girl. I'm second trimester. She's here kicking around as I speak. And you're going to be doing the breakthroughs. And it's literally going to be the last chance where you'll be able to work with me in a 6-session program if you want to do it at bi-weekly cadence. And bi-weekly cadence is usually what I suggest. What that would look like, it means that you sign up for 6 sessions, 6 one-on-one sessions together, and we do a session every other week. So you get 2 weeks in between to integrate, to practice your hypnosis recordings, to really see yourself making those shifts and those changes. And so if you do 6 sessions every other week, that's going to take you about 3 months to complete the program. And that's kind of the most common cadence that I suggest for most of my clients. Sometimes I suggest weekly instead, or sometimes even longer, but usually bi-weekly is the way to go. And really, this is going to be the last chance to do that. And it's 50% off. I don't know why I made it cheaper when it's the last chance to do it, but I guess I just was so excited to have gotten this manifestation and to have that good momentum. And it's beyond money to me. It's, of course it's my livelihood. Yes. But it's more that I want to see as much transformation in people as possible. Okay. And it's really going to be the last time that I'll have 3 solid months here to be able to do these sessions with you in this program, in this cadence, before I go on maternity leave later this summer. So whether you want to break through in love, maybe you want to break through in your financial situation, in your business, in your self-worth, what we're going to do is we're going to get into your subconscious mind and we're going to clear those invisible walls. We're going to make them Legos. We're going to take down that map that had been holding you back. We're going to change the damn record. You ready? So that you walk away not just with insight and understanding, although you'll have plenty of that, but you're going to walk away with actual integration. Like you're going to have a solid plan on how to move forward. That's what I love about hypnotherapy. It is more than just talk. If you want to talk, I highly suggest you go to talk therapy instead. They'll be able to talk with you. Hypnotherapy is actual change. It's a shift in your energy. It's a shift in your habitual thoughts, your habitual actions, and of course, the results that you end up creating. It is not surface level conscious mind work. Of course, we'll do some conscious mind coaching because our conscious mind needs to, be a part of this process, but we go deeper than that. This is subconscious. This is lasting. And frankly, I'd say that this is your moment too. You can understand, given that this is going to be half off. I'm kind of a little almost nervous of how many people are going to sign up for this. Although I'm fully embracing and ready for a very busy schedule for the next 3 months, we are good to go. But you can understand that the spots are obviously going to be limited. There is a capacity for how many people I can take on in the next 3 months. So after this sale, I will not be offering 6-session biweekly one-on-one program again, at least for the rest of the year. I know I'm going to go on maternity leave starting July 1st. Then I'm going to be spending some amazing time with baby in the fall. And then it's going to be the holidays. And then by that point, I think I'm just going to, be working with my existing one-on-one clients in that capacity. So especially if you're thinking about being a new client, this would be the time to get on board so that you are going to be an existing client by that point. So, and really, as we look to 2026, 2026 with a baby, that's still kind of a bit of a question mark for me too. So who knows if or when this is coming back. So if you've been feeling the nudge, so many of you guys DM me, so many of you guys comment on my Instagram posts and say, I'm manifesting a session with you. Like, this is your sign. This is it if you've been waiting. So you can head to the link in the show notes, or you could just go directly to brittanyhoops.com/private. That's where you're going to find information on our private one-on-one hypnotherapy and coaching sessions, where you can grab your single session or even your 6-session program. So let's clear those blocks. Let's get you to your destination manifestation for real this time, okay? I just want you to use code BUMP, that's BUMP, BUMP for little baby girl bump at checkout. And any sessions that you purchase from now can be used anytime now that's available on my calendar until July 1st when I go on maternity leave. Okay. Or at least July 1st is when I am going to do sessions for existing clients. So the doors close on this offer a week from today, which is April 15th. It might be differently for you depending on when you're listening to this. So be sure to sign up today in order to receive half off. Alrighty, traveler, that is all for today's episode. I hope this gave you clarity. I hope it gave you language. I hope it gave you understanding and that little subconscious nudge to finally say yes to your breakthrough. Because there is a version of you who envisions change. And I just know that she or he, they are just banging on that invisible wall that's been in your subconscious mind, and they are trying to get your attention. They're trying to say, hey, you, shift it, change it, become aware of it, do something about it. So until next time, I want you to keep dreaming big. I want you to keep rewiring your mind, and I'll see you in the next episode.
I don't know.